Guys, 43 million people are at risk of losing their SNAP benefits due to the federal government shutdown. And with all the layoffs that we're seeing, all the firings that we're seeing across the country, these benefits become more important than ever. But the real story isn't the shutdowns or the freeze on the benefits, guys. It's what's exposed by the shutdown. And listen, we'll get to that in just a moment. But first, let's just quickly break down what's happening. And by the way, if you're new here, I'm covering layoffs and the job market and how AI impacts you 6 days a week. So if you want to know what's going on before everyone else does, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Monday through Saturday, there's a fresh video. But in the meantime, let's talk about what's happening, okay? So what is SNAP? It's a food assistance program. Basically, it's food stamps. If you're at the poverty level or just above the poverty level, the government is going to give you a debit card essentially to buy food. And you can use this debit card to buy all types of different food. But certainly it's an important safety net for the lower income people in the United States. And so what happened? Well, the federal government failed to pass a continuing resolution to fund the government. And this resulted in a shutdown. And that shutdown began on October 1st, 2025. On October 26th, the USDA sent out a notice that basically said, hey guys, SNAP is ending. SNAP is going to be ending here just a few days. And on November 1st, people started to lose that benefit. Now, just yesterday, November 3rd, the government announced that it's going to dip into a contingency fund of about $4.6 billion to help existing SNAP recipients. But that's just the last few months. And in order to get a full idea of what's happening here, I think we need to look at the scope of this problem. And I know what you're saying, Mark, you cover AI and layoffs. What does this have to do? Hold that thought. We'll get there just in a moment because this is the SNAP example that we're seeing here is extremely important to what's happening with AI, automation, and layoffs. We'll get there in a moment, okay? Let's look at SNAP. So SNAP rolled out in 1964 with 560,000 participants, just 500,000 participants. By 1965, a year later, it had doubled to 1 million. And then the next year, by 1966, it had doubled again to 2 million. And then by 1971, guys, we had 10 million people. So what started as a small program to help people ballooned very, very quickly, doubling and doubling. Heck, if I could get doubling of my YouTube channel every year, I would be a happy, happy camper because there's an exponential growth. Let's keep going, guys. By 1971, there were 10 million people. By 1979, it doubled again to 20 million people. By the early 90s, we had 28 million people. And then during the Great Recession, this is an important date, guys. The Great Recession in the 2008 financial crisis, the SNAP benefits ballooned up to 48 million people. Right now we have 43, but it ballooned up to 48 million people during the Great Recession. And I know we can't remember what happened 3 years ago. Heck, I know people that can't even remember COVID and the lockdowns happening. But regardless, the Great Recession saw a huge spike. I mean, right now, guys, we have 1 in 8 people are on food stamps. Now, that's right now when things are, we'll say, pretty good. Okay, and I know someone the other day had left a comment that, you know, things are bad, and I'm not saying that on an individual basis things are good. Things are rough. I'm not going to give you all the different examples of people I know, but I'm not going to say that things are easy. But what I am saying is that if the layoffs and the acceleration of layoffs continue, things are going to get a lot more painful. It can always get worse, guys. It can always get worse. At any rate, we see that 48 million people on food stamps after the Great Recession of 2008. Now, right now, again, there are 43 million people on SNAP. The SNAP has a budget of $100 billion, which is an average about $187 per month per recipient. So that's where we are at today. But guys, that isn't even the real story. That's just a brief history to contextualize where we are and kind of how we got here, right? That is not the real story. The real story here is that the reliance on government benefits has been exposed. And by the way, I know some people are going to disagree with me, and that's perfectly fine. I want humans to thrive, okay, guys? You're creating God's image, you deserve to thrive. What I want to do here is create the conversation. You can leave in the comments if you have a really good comment that's well thought out, and I think it's good, it's within good taste. I will pin your comment. I've pinned comments before. I will pin comments in the future. But here's the real story. There is the reliance on government benefits is being exposed. And by the way, this is not a new thing. You go back to ancient Rome. The ancient Romans became way too reliant on state grain doles. But when the government faltered, people starved to death and the Roman Empire fell. Why? Because they were too reliant on government food. Does that sound familiar to you? But it doesn't end there. Soviet Union, they promised food for everyone, cradle to grave support. But what happened were when the inefficiencies and the lack of incentive to work came about, Soviet Union failed, people starved to death, piles and piles of bodies. Doesn't end there. Venezuela funded food programs with oil revenue, but when the oil prices collapsed, the food stopped coming. Guys, these are just 3 examples. There's hundreds of examples. The problem here is when you become too reliant on the government for food, or big corporations. If you get too reliant on huge corporations or big government to provide you with everything, you are exposed. And this is where we get back to the whole theme of the channel here. The whole theme of the channel is that AI, automation, and the changing of the guard, robotics, it's completely changing the way that labor works. And this is a very frequent conversation in the comments about how, whether it's the end of capitalism or this or that, but one of the biggest potential solutions that is proposed to this problem of mass layoffs is universal basic income, UBI. Okay, and the threat is real, guys. AI and automation threaten to displace tens of millions of jobs here over the next several years, maybe even more. And many people are going to get on government programs. And by the way, if you're eligible for a government program, you should get on that government program. I'm going to take advantage of every opportunity that's available to me, and you should too. If there's a tax break, get on that. If there's a food program, get on it. Take advantage of it. I was talking to a buddy of mine a while ago, it's a few years ago, who had student debt, and I said, hey, looks like Biden is relieving student debt. Are you getting on that? He's like, yeah, I am. And I don't like the idea. I don't agree with the idea of relieving student debt or wiping out student debt. If you take out the debt, you should pay it back. That's my personal opinion. However, if there's a program out there that from the government that gets approved, that gets passed, that offers to pay off student debt, I would jump on that. Why not? Guys, if the opportunity is there, you should take it, right? Am I crazy? I don't think so. If I'm eligible for SNAP benefits, I would jump on it. It's there. I might not necessarily agree with it, but I'm going to jump on the opportunities that are there. But here's the problem, guys. As AI and automation continues to threaten jobs, these programs are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is innately the problem. This is a huge problem. It all hangs by a thread. All it takes is for, a few politicians that are well-fed, well-funded, well-informed, lots of power to say, we disagree, shut it down. Shut it down. They don't, does anyone really think that big corporations and politicians really care about us? I mean, come on, do they? I don't think they really care. I'll be honest. And maybe some of them do, but as a general rule, I don't think that anybody cares more about me and my family than me and my family. Does that make sense? I think that's a fair statement. Again, you may disagree. You may think that your political party has your best interest in mind, and that's fine. You can think that. I don't necessarily think that, but to each their own. Regardless, why am I talking about this? Why does this matter? Guys, because when your jobs are at risk, and if you hold on for me, I'm going to give you my playbook for how to survive this AI apocalypse that's coming. When you look at all these jobs that are displaced, the idea that's going to be floated out there is, well, you don't need to work. The robots will work for you. The AI will work for you. We'll provide you everything you need. All you need to do is sit back and be fat and happy. Okay? Guys, the core theme of this channel, guys, is that men need to be relevant, respected, and financially free. We need that for our families. We need that for ourselves, for our own well-being, for our communities. People rely on you, man. You don't have the luxury. We don't have the luxury. I don't have the luxury of sitting back and hoping that the food stamps come. If I'm eligible, like I said, I'm going to take advantage of it. Maybe advantage isn't the right word. If the program is there, I'm going to leverage the tool. I'm going to leverage all the tools at my disposal. And the reality, guys, is that you have a lot of tools at your disposal. Don't let someone take your power. Because it all hangs on a thread, guys. And you can see that if you were to become overly reliant on these programs, you are at risk of someone coming along and saying it doesn't work anymore. And the reason why this is important is there is a common thread that I see out of I think we had 2,000 comments last month, maybe more. Out of the hundreds, if not thousands of comments last month, a very common comment was that I can't compete with the robots. I can't compete with the AI. They're going to get better and better and better. I'm not going to be able to compete. So what's the point? Because guys, if that is your mentality, then what you're saying is, I want to be on the SNAP program. I want to be on the housing program. I want to be on all these government programs, which puts you at huge risk. As you can see here, if you look at history, these programs they are not sustainable. Eventually, you're going to be put in a bad situation. Okay, that's the important thing. And I'm not. Listen, I refuse to let someone take my power. I commit to my family to remaining relevant, respected, and financially free. And how am I doing that? What is the pathway? What are the tools? Here's the do's. I'm going to run through them real quick so I can let you get back to your day, guys. And by the way, if you're enjoying the video, you've subscribed, thank you. Hit up my newsletter, aiupdate.ai. It's completely free, and I'm giving you all the tools, all the things that are working for me and for working community members like you to remain relevant, respected, financially free. Go to aiupdate.ai. So what's our pathway? Do. Upskill. Keep learning. Keep testing new tools. There's training programs out there. Dedicate some time to upskilling now. Do. Use new tools. There's lots of new tools coming out every day. In fact, if you're working for a company, there's a good chance that company has access to tools that they're willing to spend money on. Talk to your bosses. Research what's happening in the market. Put in proposals. Be proactive. Use the tools. Don't be afraid to use AI. I know there's this idea that, you're going to use AI and they're going to replace your job with AI. I don't think that that's necessarily the case if you are one of the people that is leading the way in using these tools. Sure, if you're on the back and you're saying, I don't want to use the tools, or, it's not for me, then you could be exposed. But get this, even if, I'll give you another example. Even if you're right, okay, and you end up implementing a program that's so efficient and so great that they're like, you know what, Jim, we don't need you anymore because you've been so productive in implementing this program. You know what you can do? You could turn around and go to their competitor and say, hey guys, look what I did for this other company. I know how to do it. It worked so good. It was so effective. They ended up laying me off because they didn't need me anymore. I can do the same thing for you. Do you think they might hire you? Guys, if you are so effective at implementing AI tools within an organization, you will be able to find work. I promise you. Promise you. At least that's my stance. That's what I tell myself. Use new tools. Be public. Let everyone know. You should be on LinkedIn a couple times a week, posting what you're doing. At the very least, be sharing posts from within your industry. Is there a new software? Is there a new bump? What's happening in your industry? Share that stuff. It doesn't need to take long. It could take 10 minutes a week. But just make sure that people know what's happening with you, okay? Be public. And listen, guys, I have what I call a 2-year theory. I have to brand this, but this theory is that the world is changing so fast that every 2 years, you're gonna need to reinvent yourself. Every 2 years, okay? Every 2 years. And then, be part of a church, be part of a network. This is important. You gotta have I wouldn't rely on the federal government for these types of benefits. It comes down to a layer. And I was at a church group last night and they were doing a food drive. You get involved in your local community, and here's my challenge to you. And if you're concerned about this stuff, which you should be, at least paying attention, here's the number one thing you should do. Here's the challenge. Next time you get in your car, instead of turning on the radio, pop open your phone and call someone that you respect, but you haven't necessarily spoken to in a while. And maybe it's uncomfortable. Maybe it's uncomfortable. Maybe it's someone that you used to play with on the block. Maybe it's a high school buddy, a college buddy, someone who's crushing it. And maybe you feel a little bit out of place. Like, yeah, maybe it's out of my league to call him. He's got this super hot wife and he's got these kids and he's a millionaire and I can't call him. Call him. Call that guy. You know who it is. He's in the back of your mind right now, or her, whatever. There's someone in your mind right now you're thinking about that is relevant, respected, and financially free. Call that person, not to sell them anything, but just to connect. Say, hey, this is what I'm thinking about. What are you thinking about? How are you using AI? This is how I'm using AI. What do you think about automation? Have that conversation going and keep that momentum, guys. Do it for you, do it for your family, do it to remain relevant, respected, and financially free. Because I promise you, when it comes to being too reliant on UBI and government handouts, you can see it hangs on a thread, boys. It hangs on a thread. Guys, I appreciate you watching the video today. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you did like this video, you will definitely like yesterday's video. We talk about 15 huge layoff announcements that happened in the month of October. We count them down from the smallest to the biggest. Some big companies are referenced there. Go check out yesterday's video, and I'll see you there, boys. Peace.